In today's video, we are going to check out two of the latest vlogging cameras from Sony. The one is the Sony ZV-1F, and we're going to stack that up against the Sony ZV-E10. Which of these two cameras is going to give you the best result? Straight off the bat, the Sony ZV-1F has a fixed 20mm f2 prime lens. It also has the brand new menu system from Sony. If you're looking at shooting photos, it only shoots JPEG and it doesn't shoot in RAW. It shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second, and it also shoots in HD up to 120 frames per second. It has a 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor. It has a touch navigation menu system. It has relatively good battery life. It has contrast autofocus detection, and it comes at $500. So focusing on the ZV-E10, it comes with Sony's interchangeable mount system, which allows you to attach any of Sony's E-mount lenses. It can be anything from a third-party lens that is a budget lens, right up to Sony's more expensive G-Master lenses or third-party lens that is E-mount or fit onto the Sony ZV-E10. It has the old menu system. The camera shoots up to 4K 30 frames per second, and it also shoots 1080p up to 120 frames per second. It has a 24 megapixel APS-C crop sensor, which means it allows more light in. It has better dynamic range, and it means that there is a lot more bokeh versus the Sony ZV-1F. And the big one for me, the Sony ZV-E10 has contrast and phased autofocus detection, which means that the autofocus is a lot better in the Sony ZV-E10. And lastly, the camera body is $700, and if you go with the option with a kit lens, it is $800. Features that are similar with them. The first one is the red indicator light that you get when you record. Again, both cameras have flip out screens, so it means you can always frame yourself properly and see if you are in focus or properly exposed. So both of the cameras have a plug and play streaming feature, which means you can just plug it into your computer, hook it up, and you can stream live on any of your platforms. So both of these cameras have really great audio quality, and it kind of eliminates having like all of these microphones that I always carry with me. You know, these little fluffy stuff. Sometimes you don't want this in public. So the next best option is to have really great onboard microphone quality, and that's exactly what the Sony ZV-E10 and the Sony ZV-1 offers. Both of these cameras have active steady shot, and another cool feature is the gyroscope data recording function, which means you can take the footage, give it gimbal-like stabilization in Catalyst Browse. And a feature that I consider to be a pro feature, both of these cameras have the ability to select different picture profiles, anything from S-Log2 to S-Log3, HLG, and S-Cine. And other cool features that both these cameras have: product showcase mode, and a must-have phase priority auto exposure, which means that you will always be well exposed for skin tones. I just think that the Sony ZV-1F with its 1-inch sensor will do poorly versus the APS-C crop sensor of the ZV-E10, just merely because of the bigger sensor. And that is what you get with the Sony ZV-1F and the Sony ZV-E10. At the end of the day, what would dictate my decision is what value I get with each of these cameras, but you wouldn't go wrong with either or. The Sony ZV-1F is Sony's latest camera that they have released for vloggers, and the Sony ZV-E10 has the freedom and the capability of attaching different lenses. If you want to know exactly what the Sony ZV-E10 is capable of, then you should watch these cinematic videos that I shot using the Sony ZV-E10 in a little town called Sandton in Johannesburg. It's just the richest square mile in Africa, but who's keeping count? Go check them out. You can see for yourself what this camera is capable of. And until next time, cheers.